Okay, I have made the decision that we are doing monthly wrap-ups this year, and it's not for you guys, it's for me. I need you guys to hold me accountable. I did not hit my Goodreads goal in 2022. I did not hit my Goodreads goal in 2021. And this year, we're not only hitting that goal, but we're outdoing ourselves. I am going to read 100 books this year. I'm doing it. And you know, we may not have started off the year super strong. Like, yes, I only read 6 books, but some of them were really great. And I have an even better lineup for February. So watch out for the February wrap up because it's going to blow this one out of the water. But stick around because I did actually read some really good books this month. A few that weren't as good. We'll get into it. But I did read 6 and I'm going to tell you about them. First book of the year, I cannot lie, it was a strong one. Iced Out by C.E. Ritchie. And I told you guys about this in a previous video, but I obviously have to recap it. This book was phenomenal. It's the first book in the new Lee and You series. This is the first one. There's going to be more. There's none out yet, but I'm obviously going to be reading them because this one was quite the treat. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. Also, just so you and I are clear on my ranking system, 1 star hated it, 2 star didn't like it, 3 star it was okay, 4 stars it was great, 5 stars blew me out of the water, okay? So this was a 4 star. I really did like it. This book follows 2 hockey players who are on the same hockey team in college and they absolutely hate each other. This is like enemies to lovers excellence. They absolutely hate each other and one day they are seen together at a party and they're having a conversation. Somehow one thing leads to another and they end up hooking up despite one of them thinking that he's straight and the other one being openly gay. They have a hookup. They end up winning their first game of the season the next day, and both of them being like the super superstitious hockey players that they are like, okay, maybe we need to keep doing this so that we keep winning games, and it kind of brings them on this journey of figuring out their relationship. Do they hate each other? Do they not hate each other? Is the other one gay? Is he not? What's going on? You guys know if there's a good hockey romance, I'm gonna find it. I found a couple this month, so stay tuned. This is one of them. I really liked it, and I'm excited to see where this series goes. Obviously, it's gonna be following different couples throughout, people connected to the first couple and whatever, just like how most companion series are. But if you've not checked out this first book, I highly recommend it. I just thought it was the most fun and I really grew to love these 2 characters, so go check that one out. The next book was truly a shock because never have I ever read a book so early on in the year that I was absolutely obsessed with and gave 5 stars. Like, I don't give my 5 stars out lightly. Like, that's a very serious process for me. I don't just give any book 5 stars. So the fact that this one got 5 stars meant a lot. And this one is Lotus by Jennifer Hartman. I cannot believe this book. I spent the whole day in bed reading it and I was sobbing. Like, I do not remember crying this hard over a book in a hot second. Like, plenty of books make me cry. This, I was like about to wither away because I couldn't get up and I was like freaking out over how crazy the book was. Oh my gosh. This one is a friends to lovers, but there's kind of a twist because the friends are childhood friends, they're neighbors. The boy ends up getting abducted when he's younger. The book then follows 20 years later when this boy is found and he's alive, and how they end up reconnecting after his kidnapping, what happened, what went on, how will he be now that he's back in real life. Like, oh my god, this book was crazy. It was crazy and it was just the most fascinating plot. I really need everybody to go read this because I immediately made my best friend read it. I was like midway in the book and I was like, you're gonna have to pick this up, and she immediately started reading it, as she should, and we're now both absolutely obsessed. And I guess this author does a lot of like crazy like kidnapping wild books, so I'm gonna have to revisit this author. But this book, oh my god, I absolutely loved it. It tore my heart out a million times over, but it had one of the most satisfying endings. Like, it's an absolute pet peeve of mine when a book will set you up for something and then never revisit it. This book was like the most satisfying read of my lifetime because everything clicked into place in the end and I was like, oh yes, we finally revisited this and this makes sense because of this. Like, oh my god, read it, please. Okay, the next 2 books on my list are both short novellas by the same author, so they kind of go hand in hand. Both of these I gave 3 out of 5 stars because they were just good. Like, I wasn't blown away by them by any means, but I still enjoyed reading them. The first one was called Goner, and this is by Fiona Cole. This was a novella spin-off of her Voyeur series, so I've read the whole series, so I thought I should probably read this little novella about these extra characters, so I went ahead and did that. I thought it was fine. It was very short though. I can't even really explain what the novella was without telling you about the whole series, but if you haven't read the Voyeur series by Fiona Cole, I would recommend the series as a whole. Like, I really, really love it. The series follows like a sex-themed club, not where it's like people having sex, but people reenacting sexual acts and you can like watch, hence the name Voyeur. So I would read the series and then you can visit this novella if you seem fit for you. But like I said, this wasn't really like make or break for the series. I just decided to pick it up and read it. So it was fine. Then I also decided to read The Guardian and the Escort, which was also a novella by Fiona Cole. I just like saw it after I finished this one and I was like, might as well knock another book out. So I read it. Again, super short. This follows a girl who was given to her father's friend when she was like 17 or something because he passed away. And then she gets sent to boarding school after living with him for like a week, but they end up reconnecting when she's an adult and there's like a romance. So it's kind of like a fun, scandalous book. But like I said, it's just like too short to even really connect to the characters, but it was fun, I guess. Another 3-star read from me. I don't know. I was just like, okay, yeah, I'll read this. It's not that long. Just to, you know, we're going big this year with 100 books. I had to get a few small ones in. So that's kind of what these were. Do I recommend you read them? Not really. Did I read them? Yeah, they were fine. I really can't believe I'm about to say this, but the next book that I read has to be one of the biggest disappointments in a hot second for me reading wise. I went into this as like one of my most anticipated books for the winter spring season, and I did not like it. The book is The Hate-Sick Diaries by Saffron Kent. It is book 5 in the St. Mary's Rebels series. Okay, book 5, final book. I love this series. I love this author. I will say, I have read books by Saffron Kent that I have not loved. There's been a couple that I haven't loved. The other books, love. This book, I figured I've been reading the whole series and really enjoying it, so I was really looking forward to this one. Oh, what a letdown. 2 stars. 2.5 if I want to be generous. Guys, I don't even know what to tell you about this book. This book is about a girl who falls for her boyfriend's best friend, but it's a little more complicated than that, but I'm honestly not going to explain because it's just like, I don't even want you to read it. But I will say I hated the characters in this book. Hated. The male character, I feel like there was moments where he was supposed to appear like alluring and sexy and like the things he would say to her, you're like supposed to interpret as hot. No, I absolutely despise this character. I felt like he constantly was saying things that he didn't mean just to like get a reaction out of her, and it was pissing me off. The plot of this story basically follows her at this reform school that all the other girls in the series go to, but it had to be like the most flat out of all the love stories. I just didn't like it. Like, I'm so upset. I was really excited for this. And like, obviously I'm still going to continue to read from Saffron Kent and see if there's going to be more books I end up liking from her. But for this one, it was just the biggest disappointment. If any of you guys read this, please let me know your thoughts. Like, I could go into more details, but I'm not going to. Obviously, I'm sure some of you guys are reading this series and I don't want to spoil the final book. So be my guest, read the book. Let me know your thoughts. If any of you guys love this book, let's have a conversation. Very curious. I'm very open with you guys, but I just did not like it. Did not like it at all. We're ending on a high note because the final book I read in January, I finished yesterday and I absolutely loved. It's like my new hyperfixation. I love this book. It's called Mile High by Liz Tomford and it's #1 in the Windy City series. The second book is coming out in February, so I'm very excited that I have that to look forward to. This book was amazing. It's another hockey romance. Obviously, I'm trying to bulk up on the hockey romances so I can give you guys like a full hockey romance video. But you guys need this book in your life. It follows a guy on the Chicago hockey team, and his hockey team has a private jet where they fly to away games. And for this season, they have hired a whole staff to work on the private jet, including flight attendants that'll be working for them all season. Our female protagonist happens to be one of the flight attendants. The guy that's the hockey player is super arrogant. He has a horrible reputation as being like a womanizer and just really rude and ruthless and doesn't care about anybody but himself. And this flight attendant character does not put up with his shit, and they obviously have these really fun conversations on the flights where she'll get under his skin and he'll get under hers, and they just have this little fun bickering that goes on, but they obviously end up kind of realizing that there's some tension there. and things happen and the story progresses. I don't want to spoil too much. Like, I feel like that plot should sell you on your own. Like I said, I really enjoyed this story. The characters, the plot overall, the writing was all very enjoyable. There was one thing that made me rate this a 4 and not a 5, and that's the length of the book. This book was very long, like very long. I didn't feel like it was dragging per se, but I was like, I can't believe I'm still reading this. It took me 2 days to read. But for me, it should take 1 day. So the fact it took 2 was like, oh my God, this book is long. And I was like, how am I only at the 50% mark? Like, I can't believe it. On one hand, I enjoyed the length because I really understood and felt the characters by the end, and the plots felt like they were deserved, but it was a little too long. Like, I think it could have been shortened slightly. Even though the plot didn't necessarily drag, there could have been a way to condense it. It was too long. I'm interested to see if book 2 will be the same length. This is a companion novel series, so the next book is about a different character that we saw in the first book, so I'm really excited for it, but highly recommend the book. Other than the length, it was a really, really wonderful read. Loved everything about it. Please go check it out if you've not already. But that was my 6th and final book for the month of January. Like I said, I should have read more this month. I didn't. February is a very short month, but I have so many really exciting books stacked up, so you guys are just gonna have to wait and see. It was kind of one of my resolutions to read a little bit more diversely and like explore outside of romance, so I'm gonna try and stick to that for February. But nonetheless, I have a lot of books that I'm really excited about, and I will keep you guys looped in, of course. Let me know what you guys read during January, if we read any of the same stuff, or if you've read books that you know that I love. Let me know about it in a comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and of course, I will see you very, very soon in my next one. Bye!